Hello everyone. I guess we're already live. While we're still waiting for some people to join, I'm gonna give a short intro. My name is Viva. I'm the communications manager at WgT, and today I'm gonna be the host of our live discussion that I'm very happy about. I'd like to introduce two of our guests, Andrus and Darius, who are two colleagues from Axioma Metering, two IT specialists ready to debunk some myths today with us. Darius is head of information system development at Axioma Metering, and Andrus is IT administrator. By the way, the company itself, Axioma Metering, develops and manufactures ultrasonic heat, water metering, and data management devices. And actually, it's the first company that created ultrasonic meters in Lithuania that are extremely precise and really advanced. So when hearing about the company like that, you might think that engineers are the only queens and kings here. But actually, of course, engineers are very important, but IT specialists also play a crucial role in a manufacturing company nowadays. So Darius and Andrus are two myth debunkers today that are ready to talk about some myths that relate manufacturing company and IT specialists. So the first question, the most important one that I have to both of you, probably Andrus, I'm going to ask you to be the first one to answer. What do you do as an IT administrator in a manufacturing company?
Well, to be fair, I myself actually had some of those fears because some of those myths were in my head that, if I just come into this manufacturing company, will it be so that, it will be boring and old-fashioned? But something inside told me that, no, this should be really good. I don't know, maybe it was those interviews with the people who hired me, but I felt that there was something good there. And yeah, it's actually very different from what you would expect. So what I do every day, basically, I'm responsible for IT infrastructure, all of it at the moment, because we just recently separated ourselves from, you could say, I guess, mother company. And now I'm basically the master of networks, servers, and all the other stuff related to IT and infrastructure. And Darius' team is responsible for development of software and other things. So I don't know, to give you some examples, basically every day I just take care and make sure that all those 40-something internal servers are running fine. I take care of networks like 10, 11 wireless access points, over 20 network switches. I check traffic, how it's going. If some people come and tell me our Teams call is being interrupted, can you check it? I go and see maybe the internet is overloaded. So basically maintenance, improvement, but not just that. I actually participate heavily in many processes that are directly related to IT, and many IT processes are directly related to all the other areas in the company. So there's really a lot of things to do in many areas, both technical, non-technical, and I'm quite happy to be able to do that because it's really refreshing coming from like large corporations, heavily stratified corporations, where you usually don't have that much freedom, and here it's basically I can express myself in many different ways, be it heavily technical, low-level stuff, or maybe a bit more advanced, high-level stuff, participating in creating processes. So yeah, I guess that's the gist of it.
Thank you, Andres. I'm going to come back to you with one more question related to that, but now I'd like to ask Darius. Could you please briefly explain what do your team do in the company in Axioma Metering?
Yes, I'm working in Axioma Metering more than 10 years, and I would say what we have today was created by me and my team. I think sometimes I'm joking that the main responsibility my main responsibility is to make IT users happy. So it can be IT process improvement or some manufacturing process automation. If we do this, people has less work, less repetitive tasks. So when we are happy, so and talking about our company, I don't imagine any processes without IT people. So, for example, the human resource or purchasing, finance, and commerce departments, all they are using IT systems. So the touch of IT people must be done. So I think our company couldn't reach goals if we don't have IT people.
Okay, and talking about the IT teams, how many of IT specialists do you have in Axioma Mentoring?
Right now, if we are talking about software developers, so we have 7 software developers, one information system analyst. So, and in firmware development group, we have 4 firmware developers, and we're still searching for help.
Okay, we're gonna get back to that
Yeah.
for the people that you're actually looking for. By the way, I didn't mention, guys, if you have any questions, I have my eye on the live on Facebook. You can ask the questions in the comment section and I'll try to look for them and answer them after we are done with our questions. Darius has just answered the question about the size of the teams, and Andres has actually mentioned that the size of the teams is one of the perks while working in an Axioma metering in a manufacturing company or just working as an IT specialist. Andres, could you please tell me, as an IT specialist, to someone who's not that much IT related, how come working in a smaller team is better than, well, for you personally, than working in a bigger one?
Well, first of all, I guess it's less layers of abstraction, less segmentation, more cooperation, more direct communication. You know, you can just walk straight line to get from point A to point B instead of going in those loops and circles that bigger companies sometimes have. So that's very nice. It's more satisfactory and less frustrating when you don't have to do a lot of bureaucracy just to talk to some specialist in another team. Also, it's also satisfying to do things yourself instead of relying on some other teams, other members of the team. So, because usually in big team, you are highly specialized in one narrow area. And well, for some people, that's fine. For others, we just, in our team, we like to do as much as we can ourselves, not relying on some external help, just managing everything in our little family. So,
okay, so you have much more ownership, right?
Yeah, and not just that. I guess I could summarize most of the benefits and of working in smaller team in like 3 words. So, closer, simpler, faster. So closer collaboration, simpler workflows, and faster completion of tasks in general. So less overhead, less isolation, and you don't have to worry about who does what, who is responsible for what. You don't have those out of scope responses. It's not our scope, you know. So it's always our scope what we do in our team. So well, I guess also. You have the opportunity to see more and do more when you are less specialized. So, you know, you're not limited as much as it would be in a large team. Also, what I noticed in a small team, it's much less probability of incompatible personalities clashing. So, because that happens in big teams, it's unavoidable. Also, one maybe more soft. No, I think less soft, more hard proof of smaller teams being more efficient is the prices law, where it says that basically half of all the work is done by the square root of the number of people doing the work. So you can imagine if you have a team of 10 people like we do now. So basically you could say about half the work is done by 3 people, which is 30%, and that's quite a good result. If you would have like 50 people, then only 7 people would do half the work, which is 14%. If you have like 500 people in the team, only about 22 people do half the work, which is 4.5%. So which means 50% of the work is done by like 4 to 5% of the people in a really huge team. So that's a real advantage, and it's real. I mean, it's one of the biggest benefits of having small, efficient teams.
Great.
So,
Seems like Andres has all the statistics and has already found the best place to work at. Thank you, Andres. And talking about the processes while listening to all the different tasks that you have, it's still kind of hard to imagine how does work in a manufacturing company look like, because we probably all have that myth in our head and tend to think that manufacturing companies are a bit old-fashioned, right? And that there are a lot of repetitive tasks that people have to do. So Darius, could you please tell me a bit more about how do the processes look like in an Axioma metering?
Okay, to explain it, maybe I will try to go through manufacturing process from orders that we get from our clients to packing. So it all starts with order from our clients. We get orders through our client portal, or we get calls from our clients, emails, and so on. So also we have few clients with fully automated integrated systems where orders comes automatically from our client systems, and we don't need any approvals from our sales managers or other people. So after we get orders, where goes the planning process? At the moment, it is half automated, and we still need approval from our planner to do it. So, but our team is working to fully automate this process, and all planning things will be automated. So in parallel, we have a component supply process. According to existing orders and the commercial forecasts, IT systems calculates quantity of required components and automatically sends the orders to our supplier. After that, then goes manufacturing. Personally, it's the most interesting part for me, because our IT team made a huge impact to the manufacturing process. Our main product are water and heat meters, and both has almost the same manufacturing processes. Our devices are made of composite body, so composite body requires molding operation. To do it, we have molding machines. It's huge machines that mold the body, and there are robots and conveyors, and the need of operators is very minimal, so it's fully automated. Electronic boards is the brain of our meter and our device. So here we have a SMT line, and it is also fully automated. The line has automatic inspection, where all errors and placement bugs are found automatically. Okay, when we have a body and electronic parts, then goes assembly line. Assembly line, I think, is the most interesting part of our manufacturing, because here we have 3 robots and automated conveyor. Assembly line combine body and electronics. In this line, there are some tests made. So, for example, it's radio tests, communication tests, some ultrasonic signal tests are made in this line. One of the latest operations in this process is metrological tests and meter configurations. So these 2 operations are the most important in all process. Meteorological tests are required to be sure that the device measures water or heat correctly. This process is certified and controlled by external institutions. So, configuration of a device defines how often device has to log and send data to IoT platforms. So, which communication protocols to use and configure many parameters according to the order from the client. So, the last operation is packing. Packing process includes laser engraving, checking that all tests in previous operations was true, and putting device into card box with additional accessories. To avoid mistakes, operations are fully automated, and operators get all information by reading meter serial number over NFC interface. According to received information, laser selects engraving template and lights up LED lights near accessory boxes. So operator has to take the accessory from the box with lighting LED lamp and put it in the card box. So, and after all, our product is ready for shipment.
Great. The main keyword that I kept hearing was automated.
Yeah.
So nothing that much of old-fashioned. Darius, I have one more question. Actually, Andrus probably will have something more to tell answering it as well. You talked about all these processes and different steps that have to be taken. How much of hand-on experience do IT teams have on these processes?
Should I take it first?
Okay,
Yeah.
sure.
Okay. Well, as a simple example, let's say new line is opening in manufacture, and it consists of many devices such as cameras, code scanners, some industrial computers, some industrial printers, etc. So I just usually go to that line and inspect it myself, get familiarized, see how it's connected internally, and then try to imagine how I could connect it the best way to the rest of our infrastructure. So it's not like I just sit at home by the computer all the time and just in theory know how it works. I just go and touch it myself, and since I'm a very curious person, I would sometimes like to disassemble some of those industrial things. Not always possible, but if you really want to, you can just get familiar with most exotic devices, take a look at the robots, how they work, and things like that. So you can do that any day, basically. So that's really nice. And more from purely IT perspective, as I said, all our infrastructure is in-house. We have our servers here internally, all the networking. So that's really hands-on. So I can also go any day to a server room to check the hardware itself. So more or less, that is the hands-on experience that I have every day.
Great, sounds exciting. Darius, do you have anything to add?
Yes, and from the development side, so if you are developing some algorithms for robots or some processes, you are writing some services, it's better to go to the factory to connect your computer to the robots and to develop here, because you can see what you have done, what your changes made for, and I recommend for all our developers to go to the factory and to develop here, not in the cabinets. So.
Amazing. Well, for me, for someone who's not working in IT, this just connecting your computer to a robot sounds like a crazy idea. Okay. And talking about the repetitive tasks, I mentioned it a bit. Well, another myth, right? When thinking about manufacturing, we think about repetitive tasks. Do you have them? Like, do you feel like robots anytime, or it's nothing like that?
I would say yes and no. So
Okay.
we have some repetitive tasks. So it is morning coffee and daily meeting. So it is every day, and all other tasks are completely different each day. Our team is working on R&D department, so it means that we spend a lot of time on research. So we are trying to find non-standard solutions to improve manufacturing performance and to automate our processes. So we follow technology trends and experimenting with which one and how it can be adopted in our manufacturing process. So to create innovative products, we often cooperate with universities and get some help and insights from scientists. So our job is not boring.
Okay. Okay, I believe. Andres, do you have anything to add on this question?
Yeah, about repetitive tasks, I suppose the only cases where I would just do same thing over and over is either I want to become really good at it, like some task to be performed really efficiently, so I would repeat it many times, or it just gives me pleasure, then I would repeat it over and over. And all the rest I just automate as much as possible, because there's really no point in doing anything repetitive in this day and age. And even in physical manufacturing, we have robots that do repetitive tasks. And in IT, well, I don't know, for example, I have configured my self-monitoring system to monitor the infrastructure. I get alerts, etc. But I'm sometimes just like to open the dashboards and look at them to analyze, to see, because it just gives me pleasure to see how it's going. I don't even have to go every day and check the dashboard, because I would get alerts if something is wrong. But I just like to see how my yard is doing. So I just because I like it, I every day take a look at dashboards. But there's really no reason even for that. So
Okay, so I guess you work smarter, not harder, most of the time. I have two more questions, I guess. And guys who are watching our live, if you have any questions, do not hesitate to write them down in the comment section. I'm going to read them in a couple of minutes. Another question, which will be related to our audience, I hope. Most of the people who are following Women Go Tech are not IT specialists yet. They're just women or not. They're still thinking about getting to the IT sector, and they would really use some of the golden rules, golden advices that you might have. Andres and Darius, from your own experience, what would you tell to a person who's still thinking about getting to the IT sector but doesn't know where to start?
Well, I guess I can take this first. So there are many rules, many experience points that you might try to gain by listening to other people's advice. So I don't know. For me, I would say find out first what drives you, because for me it's usually curiosity. So just find that one specialty in IT, and it will be much easier when you do something that you really like. Don't be afraid, of course, to look into all the areas, but you should feel which particular area just makes you feel good, makes you feel curious, which just drives you forward. So it could be, I don't know, like management of large and complex systems and infrastructures, which is basically my choice. It could be like creating nice, shiny applications or websites. Might be your cup of tea. It could be that you really fancy machine learning, artificial intelligence, big data. So choose the general area and just try to follow it, but don't be afraid to experiment and to see what's out there. Because
Definitely.
yeah, and another thing, when you have spare time, don't be afraid to just learn and look into things that might seem obscure and not needed and obsolete. If it's interesting to you, if you're curious about it, you never know how in the future it might come in handy in the most unexpected ways. So don't write off anything that's interesting to you, even if it could seem like completely irrelevant. So yeah, another advice, I guess, could be always have a backup. So anyone who's working in IT knows that. Very few people actually do that, but always have a backup. I don't know, the rest. If we come back shortly to that prices law, I would say it's very useful to find a place where you can be a important minority, not just in the majority that doesn't do much of the work. So it really gives the purpose to your work when you work in a place where you feel like you're a minority, but you're important minority. You really do a lot of work, a lot of value. So let me think. Well, another advice would be keep in mind that IT is a very wide area. It's like medical profession. When you tell people you're in a medical profession, they might ask you many things from like, oh, my head hurts every morning. What can you advise to like, can you take a look at my toe? I stubbed it on somewhere. So, be prepared for that because most people who are not in IT, they don't understand that IT area is way too wide, too large for any one person to know it all. So when you choose your particular area, be prepared to somehow reply to people who ask you unrelated stuff. And one more important thing would be decide if you want to be a specialist or a generalist, because when I talk that you should choose one area to specialize, that's mostly a specialist talk. But there are also people called generalists who don't really specialize in one particular IT area, but they just oversee and know most of the areas in IT. So that's two completely different personality types. For me, well, I guess I am mostly a generalist, but I really like infrastructure. You could say like that, but yeah, decide that as early as you can, because that depends which path you should take in your career, either generalist or specialist.
Yes, thank you, Andres. Actually, I have to mention that Women Go Tech also has this mission to make sure that you know about different roles and different positions that actually exist in the tech world. Because as Andres mentioned, there are tons of them, and one of the tools to understand, one of the ways to understand is to participate in our program Atras Technologias, but I'm not going to promote it more here because we have more questions. So make sure you read about it. Darius, do you have anything to add from your experience? I'm sure that Andres actually has made not a list of advices, but already a plan for a career change. So I'm sure there's not that much to add.
Yeah, I can confirm what Andrew said. It's really true. So my advice would be almost the same. So I will tell it. And first point would be find the part of IT that is interested for you and start learning about it. The second one would be prepare to learn non-stop, because IT industry moves at very fast pace, so you have to catch it. The third one would be love what you do, because the main difference between average IT specialist and top IT specialist is passion. And don't forget to build your soft skills, because half of the job in IT is working with tech, and the other half is communicating with people. So.
Yes,
Definitely,
thank you.
that's where I forgot this important point. Yeah, you learn sooner or later. You might be IT person with very poor social skills, but you will need to develop social skills, you want it or not. It's unavoidable.
Okay, that's something IT specialists tend not to talk that much about, so it's very important to mention. Thank you. Talking about the roles and different positions, I know that you have some of them open in your company in Axioma Metering right now. So it's a great opportunity to promote them right now, and for everyone who's watching to think maybe there's something I can be working at in Axioma Metering. So Darius, Andrus, I'm not sure who is the one who's ready to introduce.
I can introduce
Okay.
what the open positions we have now. So Axioma Metering company is growing very fast at the moment. So right now we are installing a new manufacturing line for our top product. So our current capacity is 1 million devices per year. So after installation, we will be ready to produce 2 million devices per year. For the next few years, we have plans to build the second plant. So all the time we are searching for specialists in engineering. So at the moment we have open positions for software developers, for embedded system architects or developers, and mechanical engineers, quality assurance engineers. And if you want to find all open positions, you can visit our website, axiomametering.com. And you can contact me or Andrews or our human resource department girls, and we can talk about it.
Yes, and actually, I haven't mentioned the surnames. Today, our guests are Darius Rakashus and Andrus Dukšta, so you can find them on LinkedIn. I see that we probably do not have any questions. No, our viewers are quite shy today. So if you have any, you can write them personally. I guess Darius and Andrus wouldn't mind if I tell that you can invite them to connect on LinkedIn and then ask some questions personally. Maybe there's something you would like to ask about the specific position or working in Axioma Metering. Okay, Andrus, I didn't ask you, do you have anything to add about the open positions, or Darius has covered completely the question?
Well, I just recently filled in one open position that I needed to, so not at the moment. I guess Darius covered everything.
Okay, perfect. So thank you, Darius and Andrus. I guess that's the point. That's the part where we end our live session. I hope it was fruitful to you, to everyone who was watching. I heard many interesting points myself as well. And as I have mentioned, make sure you connect with these specialists on LinkedIn, because at the very beginning of your career, it's extremely important to have a huge network of specialists on LinkedIn or other channels. And also, as Andrus and Darius have mentioned, there are so many possibilities in the IT sector. And if you're still wondering, if you're still not sure, talk to WgT, participate in the programs, or look for information when you have some free time. Andrus has actually gave a lot of good advices to accelerate your career. So make sure you use them. And that's it from me. Andrus and Darius, thank you for joining. Maybe you have something else to add before we end the live session?
Well, about LinkedIn, I can only agree that, first of all, yes, I'm always very happy to consult people in the matters that I know, so more than happy to do that. And another thing that for the career, well, most of my jobs that I actually got via LinkedIn. So because of having a large network, and I started my LinkedIn profile very early on, so that's really useful.
Definitely is. And Darius?
No, that's all for
okay.
me.
Okay, you talked a lot today, so we heard enough. Okay, thank you again, and have a nice day. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.